All right, do we got this up? Oh, sweet. Hold on, hold on. Can you guys hear me at all? Okay. Sorry, I'm totally not a tech person. I've done this like I think one other time. So let me move this over to another window. All right. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I got a big time lag on the other screen. All right. Just gonna chill till see if more people are coming in or not. How'd everyone do trading today? Sounds low? Okay. Thank you. Is that better? I turned up the volume on OBS. Okay. Crazy the red personal account and pass the eval. What what happened with the personal? Were you short, long? All right. Stream settings. Let's see. Short. Well, yeah, a big part of trading is the bias. Um, just coming up with a daily bias. If I was looking at this 4-hour chart, I do like to use a squeeze indicator for when basically when price is compressed. So just basically shouts out consolidation. Um, this is what's his name? John. I forget his name. He's a big time trader, but he trades off of a squeeze indicator as well. So it's kind of nice when you have areas of consolidation and you just kind of look at what price is doing, candle bodies and whatnot. Down here, I was originally short. I wanted to see this new day opening gap get filled in. As you can see, there's no candle bodies through here. We gap up and then we get just that amount of candle bodies in here. However, we get a ton of wicks, and as you can see, the candle bodies, notice how they're coming all the way down here, but we're not closing below previous candle bodies that have been making their way up. Okay, so we almost get this like 50% rebalance. Yeah, that'll take a little bit of time. Engaging price, like putting it together where you're annotating on your chart and then making good entries and engaging price correctly. I still work on that. I mean, honestly, all that stuff is like a work in progress. You talk about people that are pretty consistent and they're usually got like 6 years of like trading on board, like legitimate trading where they're getting after it. So, but originally I wanted to see this come down here, and there's a couple targets down here I wanted to see hit and then rebound off of. These wicks in this new day opening gap, and the fact that we had candle bodies that refused to close below here. They would wick down here but not close below. And then now they start closing back up above. So you can see this candle body trend of prices unwilling to go lower. And we get this rapid expansion out of here. Little squeeze. You can see that consolidated and then boom, expanded. So um, all the plays I took were all long, long, long. You got elections going on. I don't know if it really mattered who won. I just think they use that as a engagement to move price and say, oh, it's because Trump won, or oh, it would have been because Kamala won, whatever. Um, it's like any kind of news, right? It's just an engagement piece. It's just a excuse for why price happened to move in that direction that day. Let's see. Got 4 people in here. I'd like to get a few more. That way we can capitalize on how many people are in here. Dun, 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 dun. What time zone is everybody? I'm Pacific. I'm over in California. Right on. Oh, nice Hawaii. It's a challenging area to trade. The market's in. East Coast. I'm a little jealous of all our East Coast people. It would be nice to. There's a lot of plays that happen, like during the London sesh, like a lot of great entries, and um, yeah, I'd have to. I either have to stay up super late, like till 3 a.m. here, or I would have to wake up that early. So definitely, yeah. And dude, there's so many good ones in that 6 a.m., 5 a.m. candle. Like you could see it happen over and over again. So I do think this H4 time theory is creates some great plays for the people trading London. 100%. You know, news hits in that time. Um, Overnight movement to create gaps, and then we get New York open, and then we fill the gap, and then go where we're going to go. The RTH, all the classic ICT concepts, like um, yeah, I got it. So a little bit of a background on myself. Been kind of studying under a few different people. Uh, I took probably about a year and just did strictly ICT, all from his YouTube channel. And I mean, I watched like every single video he had on there probably 3 times over and just kept rewatching them all along the way as I understood price action more. Things would pop out in his videos because he does do a lot of just like kind of talk around, and then he throws little gems in there where if you're not paying attention, if you just want the like, here, just give me the nuts and bolts in 2 minutes, like you miss some of the gems that he throws. And so I did about a year of that, and then just through kind of hanging out on Twitter, scouring it for other people that were trading ICT, I came across the currency merchant. Um, Excellent mentor, by the way. I paid to be in one of his mentorships. Well worth the money, in my opinion. And he uses central time frame based off of SIBO, and that Chicago is the hub for how the market moves and the time frames and how they create ranges. So deep dived a lot of his stuff. He is an excellent teacher when it comes to teaching price action, ranges, uh, and you can see that I actually have some of his indicators or indicators that were created based off of his concepts right here. And so I have to update this because that should be 4 a.m. So let's go 6, I believe. Boom, there we go. Okay. And so some of his concepts are that like the SIBO opening day that, and I mean, he studied a lot of this stuff and actually taken classes from SIBO and done a lot of their study work and kind of deep dived it. So a part of his studies are that the opening day is 4 a.m. and it creates a range. And so a lot of times, and you can, look at this kind of over and over, but when one side of this range is taken out, usually the other side gets taken out unless we have some sort of like we're in an expansion like right here. But then usually what we get is it stays within range, okay? Opens and then look at what price does. It hits 50% and then takes off. Or it'll take off, come back at the top, take off more. Okay, so again, look at that. Opens 50%, comes above back to 50%, and then moves. Okay, 4 a.m. open, we get some times that price kind of reacts around, creates order blocks by, comes down into and continues. So that's why all my times are central because I take plays based off of these ranges. um, so that's just a little bit of my background, why I use Central Time. I know ICT teaches Eastern Standard Time. Um, the H4 time theory, it doesn't matter what time frame you use because it's all about the pairs of times. And so 4 a.m. till the last candle is 8:15, and this is central, so it would be 5 a.m. to 9:15. Then this is New York open, creates a range in the first 30 minutes, and we have London close that creates a range in the last 30 minutes of London closing. This is another one that if it runs the high, a lot of times it'll then run the low. This one, again, 50% holds. Okay, so when we're bullish, we expect this run above it, and then we expect price to come back down to 50% and continue. Just like if we're bearish, price will run the low of the range, come back up to 50%, and then continue lower. So he has a lot of really great range theories. I'm not really here to talk about that part because this part is you can take the way you like to trade and you can use this as a map. That's all this is. It's like um, a timed map. Okay, like we have a 1 o'clock candle, and where does it go? It comes all the way up to this 1 a.m. opening price. Again, opening prices are going to be sensitive areas of price action, just like ICT mentions in a lot of his videos. Oh, the opening day, the opening week. He starts kind of throwing out opening price. Well, that also is the same for candle openings. And especially if that candle is an important candle that does something. So kind of interesting. We had this like seek and destroy. This whole thing's just boom. So kind of interesting. We'll see what price does if we continue out of this. All right. We got about 8 people in here. I'd like to get at least like 10. I think I'm gonna go into one more Discord and see if anybody's interested. Send out that request. I have a little private Discord that's basically just me and probably 40 other people that have been trading together for about uh, 2 years now. We all got into ICT concepts, and so we've just been hanging out and developing our skills together. I do like to guest into other Discords um, just to share what I've learned. I'm thinking about the best way to share this information about the H4 time theory, and if there would be a Discord made just around that to, oh, nice, Joe. See, dude, I so wish I found like ICT and trading that long ago. I was literally just had money like in regular common shares. Yeah, Kingline has a good. I like Kingline. I like JD. Very open. Um, Great vibe. Lots of great people in there. I think it has a really good thing going on. I pop in there here and there, but yeah, uh, that's dope, Joe. Uh, I think there's some great concepts. I think there's a ton of ways to trade. Um, I like ICT. It works for my perspective, my brain. I think that it's not for everybody. I think I do have friends that trade in different ways and they do really well. So I'm definitely not a like it's ICT or nothing. Whoops. I just sent a little message in Kingline. Dude, everyone's from like all different time zones, so it's so hard to like capture unless you have like a huge following where you're gonna get like a bunch of people on. It, I kind of find it hard to lock down a great time for people to go over with this. That's why I usually just create a video and upload it. If you want to sit there and listen to me, cool. If not, no big deal. I'm just sharing what I learned. Dun-dun-dun. All right. All right. Welcome, John. Welcome, John. Nice. San Diego. I'm Orange County, so fellow Californian. 4 hour strat for the win. Dude, it's pretty wild. It's a pretty good map. Thought it was a good time addition. ICT gave roadmaps, and then you see things for yourself once you understand whichever concept you see. That, along with the nuances of the market itself. Yeah, dude, exactly. Like just with ICT concepts alone, there's like 10 different ways to trade. Oh, right on. How do you like Encino compared to OC? Cozy, welcome, welcome. All right, let's see. We got 10 people. Let's go ahead and let's get started. Yeah, I work in LA, so oh, thank you. I work in LA. It's like it's just gotten so the area I work into isn't the greatest. I work for the fire department, so um I get to see kind of like the just the crappy part of LA. Tons of homeless, tons of meth, tons of crime. It's pretty wild. But yeah, what Joe said up there, ICT, like 10 different ways to trade ICT. I mean, you see it on Twitter. Zeusy with his market maker models that he's honed in on, um, inverse fair value gaps. There's tons of ways to trade ICT. There's tons of ways to trade the market. This isn't this isn't the like a way to trade per se. I like to view this as a roadmap. So we'll start to kind of we'll dive into this and then we'll kind of take it slow so that you guys can ask questions along the way. Not like Tacoma Fire Department. Not quite. Yeah. Um, and so this gives you like a time-based map. And so what I've discovered in searching for this thing that ICT talks about, where time is greater than price, this has kind of fit that mold for me. And I back tested it for about 8 to 9 months. Um, and I created this indicator. It is on my my Twitter account. Um, I'm thinking about just making like a real basic website to have all this stuff just to go there so you don't have to like scroll through posts to find it. Um, if you want it, I'll send it to you in a DM. But I used to, when I was back testing, I was marking out the times. So I would go to this candle, I would say, okay, this is 9 a.m., um, 10 a.m. for the Eastern people. And then I would start seeing like, okay, well, what did this 9 a.m. candle do? And I started looking at like, okay, well, let's see where price is. And let's start looking at ranges and let's start looking at deliveries of and cycles of price, right? And so when we look at cycles of price, there are nuances that price likes to um, cycle to create your premiums, your discounts, and how it's going to set up to go to the next place where it wants to be delivered and how it creates liquidity. Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Joe. And so when we look at like these cycles of price, okay, if I was to draw a line across here and we were to just take a look at like, okay, there's a bunch of mini cycles within a larger cycle, okay? So when you start looking at the larger cycles and the mini cycles within, you can right away with this indicator, you can see that there's some colors that start matching up. And the colors, when they start matching up, it's almost like the end of a cycle. Okay. And so what I noticed when I was marking out these times is that, interestingly enough, when the cycle was completed, whether it was a mini cycle or a longer term cycle like this, the same time frame was finishing the cycle. So here we have a 5 a.m. high. We have a 5 a.m. low. So if I'm looking at candle bodies, this is the lowest candle body. I'm going to just exit this out so we got the full screen. Okay. So we've created a high. Wicks can do damage, but the lowest candle body is this 5 a.m. candle. We have a 5 a.m. candle that runs into this candle and starts this move back up. We get a failure swing. Okay, just putting in another high, but price doesn't continue lower. So this range is being created where now we're creating the next cycle back up. All right. So we get a 5 o'clock candle that creates this high, come all the way back down. We get a 5 o'clock candle that runs back into the open. Okay. And then the next cycle starts up. And eventually we finish the cycle where this was the high. And now the 5 a.m. candle has ran that high, ending this cycle in price. But then there's all these little cycles that happen within this big cycle. And if you notice, this is September 26th, and the cycle finishes at October 14th. Okay, so we get about 3 weeks of price action creating this cycle. So within this cycle, well, there's always the backside of the market. Thanks, Joe. Catch you later. Have a good evening. There's always the backside of the market, right? So as price is continually moving forward, okay, it's as ICT talks about, there's creating new ranges, and then there's balancing these ranges. Okay. And so, like, we had this consolidated range right here. Price expands out of it. It slowly works up. And then what does it do? The high of this range, okay, which oddly enough is a 9 a.m. high. And we have a 9 o'clock candle that closes above that range, okay, signaling that price is leaving the range indefinitely. And then what do we have back down here? The finish of this cycle to rebalance this area is a 9 o'clock candle that rebalances into a 9 o'clock candle. All right. So we're looking at cycles and price that continually make a new range balance. This is now a new range, as this is a high that was put in, rebalanced, finishes the range. Finishing ranges along the way, okay, and that's what creates liquidity, is this continual cycle of these ranges and rebalancing. So when we're looking at where we want to see price deliver, we have to have a basic understanding of these ranges, where they're likely to go, and what the bias is, okay? And so as I come back over here, there's a lot of other things that you can use to help you with bias. Higher time frames, very important. We need to understand price action itself. Hey Dan, this is going to be in Central Time. The time zone doesn't matter because it's still going to pair up. So for you, I know a lot of you guys use Eastern Time, and my apologies. I talked about it earlier. I use Central Time because I was a currency merchant follower, and he has some styles of trading that I really like that involve ranges, and it's all based off of Central Time. So hence that's why I'm on Central Time, and I was on Eastern for the longest time when I started ICT. I moved over to Central. Um, so all these are just going to be 1 hour before Eastern, but they'll still match up. So you'd be 6 a.m., 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. So continuing on, we're looking at higher time frame. We are looking at price action and understanding ranges. Okay. And so when we look at this range right here, there is actually, um, I wanted to see some of these gaps get filled in that are new day opening gaps that don't have candle bodies through them. But notice how this area right here just had a bunch of wicks through this new day opening gap. Okay, that is price telling us something. That price refused to go down and paint a candle body through it. And so it's holding this. And you can see the candle bodies held just above it. They're not closing below this candle. Same thing over here. What I was looking for was a candle body to close down here, dig into some of this liquidity over here, and then move up. What ended up happening was the same thing that I just showed over there. We got a bunch of wicks in this new day opening gap. However, look at the candle bodies. They're refusing to close below. And so when we look at this cycle, and now we have this intermediate high put in, some short-term highs put in, candle bodies are holding. Now look at this down close candle is now starting to get closed above. And now these candles are starting to get closed above. Okay, which is showing that price is going to be moving out of this range. And what do we have? We have the SIBI, and so we get a rebalance. All right. Well, there's a lot of trades to be had. These are 4 hour candles. So when we start looking at this, we want to start marking out points of interest on these candles, and we want to understand price action. Here is a candle body that sets the low. Okay, and basically the 1 p.m. candle or the 2 p.m. candle for Eastern time basically has the same exact um, low. So we're not getting candle bodies that close below this low. So this low is important. And I'm just going to mark this as a 9 a.m. low. Okay. So if we're looking at taking plays, and I see a few of you guys that like to trade the Asia session, I do too, because sometimes it offers really good setups, and this is one of them. Okay. So we have a 9 o'clock, I'm sorry, a 9 a.m., 9 o'clock candle. We get a 9 p.m. candle that opens up. It runs the low. We'll just put that right there. And then we get a move up. You have this 1 a.m. candle. Really, it's not getting into much, right? Like here's this 1 p.m. candle that really is all wick and no body. Here's a low for it. Um, this low never gets ran by any of these wicks. I was hoping that this one was going to run it and then we'd CSD. Um, didn't get that. The end dog held it. But if we can look for plays in these points of interest, we have points of interest along the way that we can target for points being taken. But the biggest thing is that these areas are going to either give you an entry or you're going to have exits, targets. So it's all entry targets and exit targets. So if we went down to the 5-minute chart and we looked at this, I tend to be a 5-minute chart guy. Okay. And we start looking at, well, okay, well, what's around here? Okay, we got the low of the 9 a.m. candle. We have that marked out. Here's our stab below the low. What does price do? Okay, it stabs into it and we get CSD. Okay, we get a change in the state of delivery. We had just ran this short-term low. We have on the lower time frame balanced this new day opening gap where we had 50% full and then back through. Okay, then another almost 50% run. So kind of matches up, right? 50, 50, 1 and 1. But now we have entries on here. And if you looked on the 1 minute, you could probably find that. Now, let's build upon that. We have macro times by ICT, right? We have macro times that people figured out. And look at where this candle ends. So this macro at 2050, okay, we have a order block that's been placed. This closes below the order block, giving us bearish. And then we got a little run up into it right there, and then price finishes. Okay, and the macro finishes into that low that was a 9 o'clock candle low and gives us a change in the state of delivery. So as I'm looking at this play, I'm looking at this is my entry. And once I get in here, you can do it a couple different ways. You can either wait for the confirmation, so down, and then we get a candle that closes pretty much the whole thing. So we get a change in the state of delivery in a timed point of interest. You can get in right here on this next candle. You can get in here below the low and give yourself however, some people have set stops, like they like to turtle soup things. So they say, you know what, I'm a turtle soup this, and here's your turtle soup, and then they say I'm gonna give myself a 20-point stop. Okay, let's go. So your 20-point stop basically is below the lows So even if you came here, now you have a 15-point stop. This is an aggressive entry. This might take some getting used to or having faith in these 4-hour entries. But as you can see, what a great timed entry. The 9 p.m. candle opens up, it runs the previous 9 a.m. low, and we get a change in the state of delivery. Even if you wait for the confirmation entry, so let's say you get in here on the opening of this candle, I want to get in, and you're looking at you have short-term highs and intermediate high. Okay, it's a lot of time in between another longer-term high in this 5-minute cycle. During Asia, you're look at that. That's a 70-point run. I mean, you can make a living off of that. And what you have behind it is a very specific time frame that is using the same time frame to create those entries. Now, does this give us a 9 o'clock exit to target? No, it doesn't, because we don't get any run up into this 9 a.m. fair value gap. I was actually targeting this high right there for the 9 a.m. fair value gap. I did take this play, and it didn't give it to me. It wasn't until later. So I eventually got um, stopped out as price kind of uh, distributed right here, and you can see this small imbalance. You can see that I highlight this and there's a little imbalance, and that's where price distributes to. So it was just came back up to that imbalance. But you should be taking handles off here for sure. And if you like here's equal highs, you can start taking some off there. I'm not going to get into that because that's everyone's personal decision. I like to have specific points where I take 75% of the trade off and let the runners do their thing. But when you start looking at this, you can start kind of sizing up a little more. You can maybe throw 5 micros right here. As you see this start to um, move up, you can maybe add some more micros right there. Now you're looking at having 20 micros, let's say, and let's say you're taking off half right here, another 5 right here, like you're that's a decent amount of handles that you're collecting on those. Um, so that's one example right in here. When a lot of the questions I get are, well, how do you know which candle to use as a target? And this is what um, this is where I say like, hey, you got to look at ICT and you got to start remembering the little things that he talks about, and that is like this cycle right here. Okay. Well, what do we get? We get this 9 o'clock candle that creates a high. We come down. We don't drive lower. And now this candle kind of creates the low of this portion of the swing. And then we have price starting to move up. So let's say we wanted to take an entry, let's say London, and we want to take an entry right here. Okay. Well, what are we looking at for targets of where we're going to take an entry and what we're going to look at? Well, if I'm looking at previous candles over here, okay, what I want to look at is what targets were used um, like prior to, or what was ran. And so would be your first obvious one. We have a down close candle. So price opens up here, closes down, and then we have price close above it. Okay. So candle bodies are held, price closes above it. So we want to see a move into this candle. That would be the first obvious candle that I would be looking to take an entry in. And I would use it as an order block. Again, we ran this 5 p.m. runs the low of this 5 p.m. and you can see that it turtle soups it. Okay, so here is another play in the new day opening gap where we have, what is that, 41 to 50. We got 9 handles of manipulation below this previous low. And then price comes all the way back up here. And let's see, I'm not sure. Let's look at this open. Open was 128. Yeah, okay, so that's what I thought. I thought it opened, I thought it gapped up and then came down. So down close, closes above. We're looking for a 50% return like an order block. Okay, and we're looking for price to start moving up. Here's a previous 5 o'clock high. So we have targets within here. Okay, notice how this wasn't ran yet. And then we just go back here. Dun, dun, dun. This was 5 a.m. on what day? Let's see, November 5th, 5 a.m. Okay, yeah, we're over here. All right. So here's your 5 a.m. entry. We get the turtle soup of this. Sorry, this is currency merchant stuff. So this is like some of the ranges that he talks about off Central Time, but you get a turtle soup of this. You get a complete balance of this. Okay, so price finally balances this little area that this did not finish balancing. And then we get a change in the state of delivery. And look at the candle bodies. That's that 50%. Candle bodies hold, closes higher. What's the low of this candle? Low is 107. So this wicks all the way down to, let me turn this off. Oh, that's not right. Oh, it's showing this one maybe. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the wrong screen. Low 134. So just back into this candle a little bit. This would have been nice for it to wick down to this. But again, here you go. And I'm sure on the 1 minute, I do a lot of 5 minute chart trading because it just gives more confirmation. And I like 5 minute structure. But range, very fast move in the manipulation, which is very typical, right? We manipulate quickly away from the area that we want to go to, causes inducement. Change in the state of delivery, counter bodies hold 50% of the previous 5 a.m. and then off we go. And this was all at the very end. Here's your 5 a.m. open. Um, that's another thing you can start looking at is sometimes on the 5 minute, I'll mark these like 5 a.m. opens. Okay, close back at 5 a.m. Look at these little cycles around it. Manipulate down, close above 5 a.m. And now we're starting to get candle bodies that are just wicking the 5 a.m. open and then closing up. Another entry. And how many points can we get out of that? Depending on your entry, aggressive, least aggressive, 106 points in 20 minutes. Okay, and it's waiting for the correct time to line up. Um, these kind of create equal highs, same time frame. Now we have this next candle. Let's say you missed this. Okay. Well, what do we have? We can hide this. And so we want to look at, well, we got a previous high, 9 o'clock previous high. High, close. So this would signify to me that we're getting to the candle body. And if you want, instead of that, you can just throw a rectangle on it. But it's the same concept, right? We're just marking points of interest. What was a point of interest? Oh, a previous high. Well, this candle forms a previous high. And now we have a like-timed candle that's opening up. Okay, well, let's look at this. What do we just have? Expansion, order block placed in here, expansion. Consolidate, back down into the order block. If I was to draw a line from this order block, if you like take order block entries, it this open is 2032.75. The low of this is 2032.50. Just taps the order block and off she goes. And so now we're looking at targets for this 9 o'clock candle. Well, we have a low right here. Okay, we don't quite get that. So then let's look over here. What do we have that's over here that we could use as structure? Okay, well, we have a candle that created a previous low that was used as an intermediate term low. Okay, so does that, no, because the top of that comes all the way up here. Um, and so we're not getting like this top, I'd be looking at this bottom first. The CE of it, um, we can kind of look at how price reacts around it, which is pretty interesting. Consolidates, moves higher, comes back down to CE. Okay, this is 5 minute within that, and then we kind of move up. Okay, so CE's holding price, interestingly enough. Okay, what about 9 o'clock? This still fits in this area with this low. So see how there's overlapping? Like I don't need to draw lines off every candle. I just need to look at like what would a primary target be that's next in line. And if some of these have overlap, then we don't need to draw everything out. Sometimes um, some of these like it'll use like 50% of this wick at times. um, but you should be looking at structure and taking profits based off of lower time frame structure as well. And so like this long wick right here that kind of covers both these candles, you could split this in two as a target. So 50% because this is a balanced area. So price might move 50% into this area and then show some sort of reaction. Okay, so it's not always as beautiful as like this candle opens way down here and we can target this top, or we can target previous ones over here. But we're using these areas like fair value gaps, order blocks, wicks, highs, lows, all the stuff that ICT told us to look at. We're using it as points of influence and points of interest and where we would like to see price deliver to and where it's going to manipulate from. All right. Here's another interesting one. Price opens, manipulates down. We're just going to run this back so we don't clutter up the chart. Um, I said earlier on that I like to use the object tree and label this. Um, and then I'll have like 9 o'clock points of interest July through September. So whatever was going on in this quarter, the current month. Okay. And I'll just have all this stuff hanging out here so that I can quickly view it and hide it. So object tree is great for that. Get rid of some of that. Okay, next candle. We didn't we didn't we didn't get the move in either one of these candles. It's okay, we got 4 more hours. Okay, let's look at points of interest. That previous low, previous high. Okay. So where can price get reactionary? Is it going to come down here into this candle body and tap this fair value gap? That's quite possible. We could put a box on this candle body. We have to look at what it does. We can't just say, oh, it has to come down here because this candle body, because it came into this candle body last time. We have to mark out some of these points of interest and see what kind of reaction we get. Where's our candle open up? 12:35. Boom. So 1 o'clock's right here. What do we get? We get a turtle soup. Price refuses to close below it. We get no displacement through there. Okay. So aggressive entry, turtle soup entry. What do we have here? We have a range. Price left the range. And we almost get the 50% tap. So not quite, but point of interest. 1 a.m. low. 1 o'clock open. And we get the movement back up. And then you could target the 9 o'clock high. Okay, and you're still getting a decent amount of points. Even if you wait to see these two candles reject and you get above it, it's 80 points. Turtle soup, 86. Wait for the fair value gap in here, 61. It's still a lot of handles. And you don't have to worry about not getting in at a certain time because you can always wait for the next 4 hour candle and you can just watch and see how price manipulates around previous candles that are paired the same. And that's exactly why I color coded it. And so we already have a huge expansion. Um, and this is where the ICT concepts comes in once again. Huge expansion. Okay. London. Then we kind of get this like distribution and kind of slowly working its way up in the PM sesh. AM sesh, good movement all the way up to here. PM sesh, a little more overlapping. Distribution, reaccumulation for the next move up. Here's our 5 o'clock open. Here's 5 a.m. This open is 20, 30, 321. The low of this is 20, 323. Almost taps the open. But we get a manipulation into this order block. Okay, so we have a down close candle that moves into an area of liquidity, which is a fair value gap, and price runs away from it. So I would be looking for this. If we want to see higher prices, I would be looking for this candle to hold price above it. And then where are we targeting? We're targeting right here, a 5 o'clock high. Okay, we got a new day opening gap right there. Okay, we got a low right here. It's a prominent low. Okay, looking in, not too much over here. Um, Opens up here. Here's another open, but where does that kind of fall? This open kind of falls like in between these two. So this is a fair value gap with a low. Seeing the fair value gap, I like this would be a great target. Um, but you're looking at huge play in Asia. Okay, here's your a 5 p.m. fair value gap, the high, the low. Okay, so look at three targets. You could even do, here's a low right here. I mean, one, two, three, four targets. So if you like scaling, then you can scale in and take off partials along the way. And so this happens over and over again. I could literally go through every single candle and we could start looking at where price goes to. Um, let's see, this high right here, 602, this low, 602 even, 1 p.m., 1 a.m., same candle. And what does it do? It manipulates to the same price as this high and then goes up. Where does it go up to? Oh, takes out the high of this 1 p.m. candle over here. This was the highest 1 p.m. high currently in this cycle range, and that does that. So it uses this candle and this candle to create the range. So I mean, you could literally pick any candle, and once you start looking at like, why is it important? Okay, well, we have a 1 p.m. candle that created a intermediate term high. We have a long-term high, and this spans the gap between this high and this high. Amazing. And there's nothing else in this area that's really giving us anything worth anything. This doesn't really um, matter to me other than that I would use this for stuff coming this way for shorting prices. Okay, so first this order block's used, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, great play right there. Now we get 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. And what does it do? It manipulates up into this candle. Doesn't quite get the open, but we could do a 50% candle body range and lower price. So this I would want to use for lower prices. Highs I'm looking to be taken out for higher prices. Okay. Um, so I hope that this is starting to kind of make sense on how I'm viewing this. The colors should help with the indicator. Again, these are just to give you targets. However you're trading and whatever works for you, keep using it. I'm just sharing this as a map of where price could end up. And it seems to work pretty well. And it seems to use points of interest as areas where it'll either reverse or target to deliver. um, does anybody have any questions that they want answered? I'm watching the stream on YouTube Studio and it's a little delayed. So I'll wait for it to catch up. We'll throw it down here in the comments too. So I'd like to open it up to any questions. Um, Hopefully it makes sense. It's kind of, I know for some people it's kind of a lot. Like I've answered quite a few DMs on Twitter, and it seems like the newer traders are like, whoa, like how do you even look at this? Yeah. Let's look at this open over here too. Did it tap the open? Opening price is sensitive. No, didn't tap the opening, but it split at 50. So you had opening right here, and you had this 1 a.m. open, so it split. So again, crazy ICT stuff, but 50% of two opening prices that this delivers to. Let's look at your July 8th close. July 9th, July 8th. Yep, closes above it. So this is like a previous 1 o'clock high if we're looking at just this candle. Fair value gap, this wick. This is a beautiful play right here. I remember this. CSD right at the mean threshold of this wick. Okay, so I created this indicator myself, and so I do have a Daniel. I do have a video on my YouTube that takes you through how to do it. Um, it's custom 4-hour candle colors. You can find it on TradingView. It's public. When I go to settings, I pair up. So 0 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 5, all paired up so that the same time frame is color coded. So it's PM and AM. Okay, AM and PM. 5 a.m., 5 p.m., so on and so on. The one thing that you need to do is go to your chart settings, go to symbol, and you need to take off trading views. You need to uncheck these. Okay. When you start putting these on, this is what happens, unless you're running over it. Okay. So uncheck all these, and then just the colors will show. Bias for tomorrow. Let's see. I have not taken a look at any higher time frame stuff. I'd like to see this kind of 4-hour market maker buy model, and I'd like to see us take out um, previous all-time highs. That would be what I would like to see. Um, I haven't checked news, so what I would do before I fully commit to a bias, um, this price leg right here, this holding of price down here, and then this price leg up. Notice how when we ran the top of here, we closed above it, and then we got continuation upwards. We didn't have price come back down and close this in. So I'd like to see some sort of manipulation to this previous high at some point, whether that happens immediately or that happens after we run all-time highs, to be determined. And and so yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So if we look at the daily, little, gosh, there's a ton of this. I need to clean this up. So as we're looking at the daily, we've kind of held this previous high. So we close above it, we come down, and then just price is not willing to. It just kind of, you see these candle bodies just stays lower and then comes back up, and then we're unwilling to close below these candle bodies or even come down this far. We just run this and then we've expanded up. So higher time frame, I'd like to see right up here. That's not that far away. 300 points, totally doable by tomorrow. But yeah, I'd just be looking for continued bullish prices. So we go back to the 4 and look at that. And what do we have for our highest price up here? Is a 5 a.m. candle. So that being said, what would be really awesome is if we get another 5 a.m. candle tomorrow, and I would like to see us actually um, really continue the bullish movement and get a breakaway gap through here, as this is a real wicky candle. Um, and then down below, if we don't get an early retracement, okay, so we'll mark this all-time high, which is important, 5 a.m. Okay, so if we don't get any sort of like retracement down into here, into this fair value gap, we could just be using this as like almost like a breakaway gap for just continued rebalancing of these areas. But notice how we get this, we create this high, we get massive movement away from it, displacement, we come back up, and then we have all this like second stage accumulation. Then we get the continuation and expansion. Typically, what I like to see is in these areas where it was a second stage accumulation, I'd like to see some sort of order block put in. So we do have this current candle that is just moving down. So if we could get like this 4-hour candle, another 4-hour candle, especially the 9 p.m. Here's a 9 p.m. That would be really dope if like we put two down close candles in and then the 4 hour candle starts moving up and we get some good London move to take out this 1 p.m. high with a 1 a.m. candle and on to all-time highs with the next 5 a.m. candle. That's uh that's what I would be looking at as far as targets. Parvez, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, any questions you guys have, uh, feel free, fire them off. Like for me, I've just been studying this for so long that I just see it and it makes sense in my mind. Um, and so it's helpful when you guys ask questions because then it kind of, I think it helps other people too. So hopefully you guys find it helpful. Um, that'd be great. Let's see here. Let's go to, hmm, dun, 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 dun. No, indicators, custom 4 hour candle colors. All right, here we go. Need to do that. Let's see. Um, I would like to see it be the 5 a.m. candle, and I'd like to see it create a breakaway gap through it. We might get a rejection. I mean, you just have to be ready for um, what price action delivers. What I want to see and what happens doesn't always mesh. Sometimes it does, and that's great. Um, here's the indicator. Conan's mentioned this in our Discord, and I've been digging in over the past several days. It's really helped my higher time for analysis. Thank you. Awesome. That's great, John. Uh, still make sure you're doing your daily higher time frame and weekly higher time frame. I just put the indicator in the chat. I know a few people dropped off, but all right. If nobody has any other questions, um, then I will wrap this up and figure out when to do another one. You guys can always DM me on X too if you have any questions, and I'll try to do more of these. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to do like live um, trading with these. Yeah, yeah, I know a lot of people enjoy the like reviewing the week and then having like what are the expectations. So I like to do some live trading where we could just talk around while price actions moving, so we can kind of talk about these things in real time. Because it's one thing to like this is almost like back testing. It's one thing to back test, but it's another thing to watch price in real time, make decisions, find your points of interest, and see how price action reacts around there, and then making decisions based off of it. That's the best practice. So I do have some videos where I'm live trading like that I posted up. Again, this isn't my full-time job. I do have a full-time job working for the fire department. Yeah, I do trade Asia a lot. It does have some pretty good setups for like 40 handles easily. Um, like kind of like this, what's happening right now. But yeah, so I try to do it when I can and just to be helpful to everyone in the community who's interested. And yeah, all right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. Thanks everyone. You guys have a great evening and thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it.